When you take a shower.
Right, exactly.
Now, as far as the hard plastic, like the toes, if you're going to put that onto a suit, what you use is Velcro.
Yes.
So the Velcro one side on the suit, and you glue the Velcro with the barge cement on the other side. If you want to really make sure it's really tight on this plastic, you just put a couple rivets in it. And
Or if you're not comfortable with gluing it, they already have pre-made glued back, like industrial strength Velcro.
They do, but sometimes the heat of and sweat will actually take that off.
Yeah.
If you're going to be putting anything like that, and well, even if you're going to glue with the barge, you want to use some sandpaper and rough up that section you're going to glue onto beforehand.
Yeah.
Just to give it something to grip onto.
All right.
Yes.
When you paint foam, it often cracks.
Yes.
Could you spray the foam with the truck bed liner and use that as like a primer?
Yes, I've used both truck bed liner and the plastic dip. I don't like plastic dip.
Why not?
Plastic dip has a little bit too much rubber viscosity to it, and it tends to crack a little easier, I think, than the truck bed liner does.
Yeah, you need something more flexible when you don't, because, especially with the heat and stuff like that, sometimes I feel that foam can sometimes expand.
When you make foam armor has a life to it.
Yeah.
There's going to be a length of time you'll be able to wear that, and it's going to just be too messed up.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be forever. Can't wear that out. Yes.
What texture? I like the idea, like for Megan's bat or Harley Quinn's bat or mallet. I like the idea of being able to take a children's toy or a toy bat or something like that. And you said to do the truck bed sealant.
Yes, truck bed liner.
But how do you? I could do like one solid color or something like that. But how do you get a nice wood kind of feel?
If the piece that you have, the toy piece, say for instance, a plastic bat, usually has a grain molded into it.
Okay.
Right? The truck bed liner is not going to completely fill all of that. It'll still be there.
Oh.
It takes about at least a day. Give it at least a day to dry before you do anything with it. What happens is it looks kind of thick when it goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as with any spray paint, it's just you do it in layers. You don't just gunk it on there. But you're going to go ahead and do a layer, and it's going to dry, and it's actually going to adhere and shrink down into the shape of what you've painted.
Mm-hmm.
So you go back and actually do a little bit of highlighting and dry brushing with that to bring that back out.
I saw it on YouTube because I was interested in it myself. There's actually a tutorial on how to make something that looks like wood. And the guy has a giant 2x4, but it's made out of like PVC foam and all that stuff. So it actually looks like it's wood. It was pretty interesting. I'll try to, if you want afterwards, I can try to track it down with you.
Cool,
Sculpting foam is interesting. There's a lot of different things like soldering irons and such that you can use to burn into it. Also, in foam, as opposed to the plastic, if you just lightly score it with a knife and then hit it with the heat gun, that opens up. So, but again, it is foam, so it's going to have a length of life. Yes?
What sort of gloves should you be wearing when you're handling hot plastic?
The plastic's not going to be like sticky. You're not making it melt. You're just heating it to where it will move. So any type of work gloves, if you've got leather gloves, that's fine. If you've got, I've actually even used regular knit, like winter gloves. Just something for the heat.
Something to give you a little bit of something between
It's
you
not
and
like
the
it's going to
plastic.
melt into it.
You can probably go to a hardware store and find some basic thick material gloves for $5 or less.
So like outdoor work gloves, like gardening gloves, something to give you something between you and the plastic.
You technically could even just use a towel.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about your oven mitts?
Well, as long as you're not using the oven. Yes.
If you were using your plastic bin method, how would you do like a female chest piece as a solid piece, or would that be possible? Or?
Here's something that I would recommend for doing cupping.
Yeah.
What you do is you get yourself a piece of plywood, you score out the circles that you want to make, and you cut it out with the jigsaw. Okay. Then when you heat your plastic, you have that set up so it's not flat on the ground. And then you use a towel or your gloves and you just push down into it. You heat it and push down into it, heat it and push down into it, until it's whatever depth you want it to be.
All right, go ahead, Eric. All you.
I'll say we're going to go this way then?
We can go this way.
All right.
Are we just talking about our costumes?
We can do it.
We can.
We can do it.
of the cosplay world. So we're pretty much going to embellish and elaborate on some of the things that he's already touched on with a couple of new things here. My focus more so is, I'm a huge fan of duct tape. Who's used duct tape to fix something? Doesn't matter what it is, your car, clothing, anything. All right, I'm a huge fan of duct tape. This is my little toolbox. I usually keep everything in here from screwdrivers, batteries, and tape. My favorite, duct tape. And electrical duct tape. So as anybody that saw me when I walked in, I have a proton pack that, you know, to the eye from far away, it's a proton pack. Look at that thing. If you ever get up onto it, oh man. So, again, to the eye, to the people in the very back row, they're looking at it like, oh, proton pack, we're moving. The front row here, anybody that would be a little bit closer up to it would actually notice that there's actually duct tape here, duct tape here. I'm pretty sure there's duct tape somewhere in this region. And anywhere that there is something that needs to be stuck to something, there's duct tape. But it still looks like a proton pack, exactly. I went for the screen accurate, as Liam went with making his own variation.
Mine's mostly assembled with zip ties.
Exactly. He's wearing a tote with some cookware and zip ties. I have more of a fiberglass, resin, couple of PVC parts, and duct tape. I always tell everybody, they say, what did you make that out of? I say duct tape and a lot of hope. Because that is pretty much what's holding that together. With that aside, oh man, that thing's heavy.
Mine's like 3 pounds.
Yours is 3 pounds. And he can carry snacks. I like that he can do that. So while I'm also a huge advocate in the world of the duct tape, doesn't matter what brand, Scotch tape, duct tape, I've now grown very fond of Gorilla Tape. Has anybody used Gorilla Tape before? I love Gorilla Tape. That stuff is awesome. It tears very cleanly, as opposed to the Scotch duct tape, or the Imposter duct tape that I have. It does tear a lot cleaner. Does give you the coloring is a little bit nicer too, but it's very limited to color. I think you have traditional duct tape color and you have black. Those are probably the only options that you have, whereas duct tape you can buy zebra print and whatever. I'm a strong advocate for tape in the sense that you can make just about any kind of costume. You can even probably get duct tape that has a wood grain on it and make that baseball bat. Or make something that needs a wood grain. You can get foil if you're doing something that requires like metallic robotic parts. It's definitely something that, it's definitely something that you can utilize in that sense. If you're doing like let's say you were doing Bender from Futurama. There are certain parts, maybe you wanted to close some of the seams on your now melted silver-colored plastic. You wanted to cover the seams, you can use metallic tape. That is definitely something that you can do. But you can see what I just brought out. I work with foam as well, but not in the artistic sense. It's more of a very sloppy, cut out the shapes and stick it together sense. This is, anybody familiar with Rick and Morty? This is a Meeseeks box. So I actually cosplayed as Morty, and my friend went as Rick. So we went as Rick and Morty, and I said, well, I'm just going to be a dude in a yellow t-shirt, which, by the way, is like the simplest, easiest way to do it. I was jeans, yellow t-shirt, kind of hustled my hair up a little bit, shaved all my beard off so I looked like I was 12, and went with it. And I said, well, what's my next touch? Meeseeks box. I said, that's going to be the most noticeable thing. I can just walk around with it all day and just look like I'm startled all day. So, just sit there and go, oh! So, as I said, I like foam and tape. This is made out of one of those 6x6x6 boxes you can buy from any store, to include Walmart. Maybe the dollar store carries them. I think the box itself cost me 30 to 40 cents. So it's a cardboard box that I taped up with regular packing tape, closed it up on all 4 sides, and then cut the shapes of foam. That is literally just your craft foam. Basic run-of-the-mill, you can buy a pack of it for a couple bucks with various colors, or you can buy the sheet at like an AC Moore, Michaels, and probably Walmart for a couple of cents, less than $1 for a sheet of it. That you just cut the shape, the same way. I don't think you have to really go the cardboard method because you're not really bending and burning and cutting. But just draw your measurements on there. It's very easy to work with. Cut your shapes, and with that, I held it all together with duct tape. So there is no seam on here that's That's actually glued down, stapled down, tacked down. Everything that you see here is held on by a form or another of duct tape, whether it be rolled up, balled up, or full-blown plastered onto every seam to make the design, which I use the black to incorporate into the design. If you know what the box looks like, it has like a border around it, so I use that. So if there's anything that you can use that for, I've actually used that to make bow and arrow quivers. I have a green arrow costume, so my quiver is actually PVC and duct tape. And then, well, it started off as like a mesh type of thing, and that was just a disaster. Arrows, every time they dropped into there, kept almost poking a hole in it, and then it made its way through, which was terrible. I went with more of a PVC, kind of grabbed some duct tape and went around it, gave kind of a, you don't have to use the full sheet either. It's about an inch and a half, 2 inches wide. You can use half of it and just use it on the seam and bend like a perfect seam. If you use just a little bit of it here and there, you can actually bend around a full corner and close a seam, close a seal. It's very, very useful. I mean, in the sense that I use it in the Proton Pack, it's probably the same way that you'd use in your car to clamp up a hose that has a leak or anything. It's just a matter of me wrapping it around there and closing it. But this is actually demonstrating that you can do that on a seam, on a corner. So this is just one piece of tape per side that's actually going on one side, folding around the other, closing the seam. You can do that with pretty much any costume that you do. Does anybody have any costumes that they throw together that use duct tape or even electrical tape? Nobody's got that far yet?
It wasn't so much a costume as it was a duct tape tuxedo.
Duct tape tuxedo. That's a costume, loosely. I like it though. Duct tape tuxedo. Was it the silver duct tape?
No, black and purple.
Okay, so you were.
Were you married in this costume?
That's all I can hope for.
We don't judge here. That's okay.
Yes.
Speaking of duct tape, on my original chainsaw that I did, it was literally just a board with a bicycle chain on it. I took a Tupperware container and wrapped it in red duct tape, and that's how I built the original chainsaw I had.
Definitely does the job. I mean, you can, like I said, duct tape. I mean, if you've ever gone into even the craft stores, Walmart, if you've ever seen Office Depot, Staples, they have a duct tape rack. I used to work at Staples, so they have an entire section in their tape aisle of probably 15 to 20 colors of tape. Zebra print, leopard print, black, white, blue, green, purple, neon colors. Just about anything, camo colors, anything that you can think of. If you're building a weapon and you want to put some camo design down the side of it, what better way than to tear off strips of that duct tape and throw it around the side to give it that extra little bit of edge. So you can get pretty creative in the sense of you're using tape. It's something that you don't have to be a rocket scientist to use, although they probably do use plenty of it. You don't have to, be smart. It's a matter of knowing what tape you want to use for what. I use the electrical tape more so for smaller, intricate places because it can wrap a little bit tighter, it's smaller, and it's a little bit more heat resistant because it's, again, electrical tape. Duct tape I use for bigger, broader areas. If I just want to slam some tape over. If anybody has seen my Deadpool costume, my Deadpool sword holsters, which I couldn't bring because they wouldn't fit in my bag, it's like this long. The holsters are actually cardboard paper towel roll holders.
Nice.
So when you're done with your paper towels and you get that cardboard stick, I cut that in half, put them kind of crisscrossed over top of each other, threw duct tape around them, gratuitous amount of duct tape, and then put some straps to it. That's what holds my swords together.
Nice.
So if anybody sees them, they look shiny and they're very duct tape-ish because they are. They're like, oh, what'd you make that out of? Cardboard and tape.
Nice.
And pretty much the same things I made my Proton Pack out of.
Nice.
Duct tape and hope. It hasn't really rained on it just yet, so it hasn't really had the chance to fall apart. But it seems like it holds up against the weather. I've never left it out in the elements, but duct tape definitely holds up against. Again, the only thing I think will be the raise for the concern is leaving it in your car in Arizona in the 110, 120 degree heat, or what we've had some of this summer. But generally throughout the year, I've left my swords in my car. I've left my pack in my car overnight in the middle of the summer. Everything so far has helped, duct tape wise. So it is a very durable, because that's what it's used for. It's used for the heating ducts. It's used for air ducts. It's used for that temperature influx. So I definitely do that. So,
quick question. How about what would you spray over it just as an extra sealant?
As an extra sealant over that?
Yeah.
On top of duct tape.
Yes. Paranoia is your friend.
Frog juice, because I'm paranoid.
Frog juice.
Frog juice.
There is, if you're like me and you just go into a hardware store and you're like, how do I do this? And you literally walk around wide-eyed just going, what aisle do I belong in?
Look for the geekiest person working there.
You can do that. Some of them, they're nerds in disguise with an apron, so sometimes you can get a hold of one of them. But if you're going in there,
Wolverine tattoo on his neck.
but if you go in there and you're kind of just wide-eyed like me, going in there looking at PVC and looking at all these other materials, going, okay, how do I do this? The hose that's on my leg right now, this is actually a drain hose, just a rubber hose. These are 3 PVC pieces, the third piece being on the back that I kind of screw in. So it's just a coupler and then a piece it's a reducing PVC piece that brings it down to the 1-inch size. So that was just, there you go, PVC.
And entire handle's nothing but PVC fittings from Home Depot.
Nice.
And then I use metallic duct tape. Now this is actual metal tape. You'll be really careful using this because the edges are literally a razor.
Cut your hands.
Yeah.
So be very careful. You can cut it out though; it just sticks right on. That's all it is. An old lightsaber blade. Done.
Nice.
And he's all set.
Con safe.
So with that too, I mean, it's just a matter of just kind of wandering around. But if you're like me, I've kind of done a trial and error with filling in the seals. There is a sealant that's over in the spray paint aisle, probably near the truck bed liners and the Rust-Oleums and everything. There is a acrylic sealant.
Okay.
I have used that in the past. I actually used it on this gizmo here, which has seen better days at this point. I used it on the actual holder here.
Okay.
That's black spray paint over leather that I sanded down, and then I threw the acrylic sealer over top of it, and the paint has stuck. I think I've had this for maybe 7 years, and I keep telling myself I'm going to change it.
If it
ain't broke, don't
if
fix
it
it.
wore a little bit, it makes it look better.
Yeah.
Oh, so now you can see the brown though, so that's kind of disillusioning. But yeah, you can use an acrylic sealer, definitely that or the frosted or whatever you say.
It's the stuff that actually, when you have the president's signs or, vote for treasurer, blah, 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 you see their signs all over your yard. The reason why they're protected in the rain is because they spray it with frog juice. And you can go, you literally just look it up online, like frog juice protector thingy, which is literally what I typed in Google.
Protector
it popped right
thingy.
up for $7. So that's what I use because,
That's half my
I had a
tank
few
returns.
drinks that night. But yeah. But yeah, just $7. It comes in a can. Go ahead and you just spray it on there. Because I work at a comic book museum, which is right across the street, and usually we get a lot of the cardboard left over whenever we pull the comics out and stuff like that. So I use that to go ahead and make my armor. And sometimes I can't always make it to Walmart, but I have those free cardboards that I get every Tuesday night, and I can go and utilize those to go ahead and make sure that those last a little bit longer. I go ahead, I use enamel paint after actually using the truck bed liner, and then some enamel paint to get it nice and shiny. Go ahead and spray with the frog juice, and I actually have walked in the rain in cardboard armor before.
Yeah, the enamel paint does a pretty wonderful job. It does take a little bit to dry though.
It
I think it
does.
does take about double the time as most spray paints. Because some spray paints are 2-3 hours and you can touch it.
Right.
Don't touch it.
Right, exactly.
Unless you want to be shiny for a good while, look like a Madame Tussauds wax doll for
Gotcha.
a while. Don't touch it. I was after I did this one, I was like, oh, that turned out really good. Oh. Yeah, it's like, oh, now I got to redo it because then I had
Handprints.
just regular matte finish handprints in it, while my handprints were all nice and sparkly and shiny.
Hide it from my
and
cat.
It takes a bit to come off.
Yeah.
So does anybody have any questions regarding the world of duct tape, electrical tape, or what I've done with some foam?
So I've heard from several friends at different costume contests and different cons that a lot of the time judges say, "Oh, you did that." So how, in your experience, has using duct tape affected your performance in
Okay, that
contests?
with that's a two-parter. That's on the judge.
Sure.
So if we're up here judging your costume and one of us decides that duct tape is crap, that's going to be our prerogative, and we're just going to you should have actually sewn that. That's up to the judge themselves. That's going to weigh heavily into that decision. But the difference between gluing it, as long as it doesn't look like you just went out there with like spider web and just went out there with the Elmer's glue and just went crazy with it. If it's clean looking, then who cares? I have glue at the bottom of this. It looks very clean looking, but if you look inside, you'll see where all the glue kind of seeped out and started to go down the tube. But again, it's still clean looking to the outside. But if I had glue all over the side of me and it was just a complete disaster.
Trust me, that would be camera ready.
Oh,
Right.
oh, yeah.
No director's going to look at that and say no.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've worked in the industry, I can tell you, no, they're not going to.
So part of that is the judge. It is the judge just, they're a judge. They're judging you based on how they feel about your costume. So that's
Sometimes
half
it
of
also
that.
isn't really so much that this is a good thing or a bad thing. If they want to find something wrong with your costume,
They will.
They will.
Find it.
Right. Exactly.
They
even
will
if they
point
have to
out
make it
whatever.
up.
That
Exactly.
comes
So-
with a couple
so
of
you-
times.
yeah.
It's really all about
Me too.
just being patient with it. And it's like, if you're patient with the glue and stuff like that, touching my wet hair, because he's judged before as well. So,
Think I'm the judge.
But it's really just about, and we can see that you've taken your time to really make sure that you've covered your edges, you've double checked for your spider webs. You triple checked yourself instead of just like, 5 minutes before judging time, let me go ahead and slap this stuff on and then call it a day. It's
How many
like,
times have I
we
seen
can tell.
people do that in their hotel rooms at a convention?
It's so scary.
And we do know that there are
In the
cosplay
in
malfunctions.
the elevator on the way to the
I
masturbation.
don't get it.
Just glue.
Sewing machines are so
Just
heavy.
unplugged and
I don't
screwed in.
get it.
That's cool.